biggest thing is, while we're walking through this, think about anything that you have either got in your disaster kit at your institution or that you've ever used for either a disaster at home or something at work, because we want to add to these things. And we do have a little bit more funding left to add to the materials that we've got. So we'll just sort of go through, and I can put them on the stage here. These boxes are marked for what's in them. We've got downstairs, we were using one of these items already. Downstairs we have a garden hose that you can use to get actually fresh water to wash things off, to if we need to do any kind of wet storage of materials like films or microfilm, you can do that. So we've got that. And then we've got in this container, and if you want to talk a little bit more, Tracy, about the idea of why we ordered Simple Green.
John told me to.
Okay.
And I think Amy told me to.
The thing is,
Miranda
too,
did.
this started out, John, there are lists out there from different organizations that that's where we started, was with a list that John had already found of things. And some things it was like, it was just, do we want to spend the money on that? Like, will we use this? Won't we use it? So we tried to think, we started out, because when you start doing this, it's like, wow, this is going to be a lot of money. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I still have a lot of money left, and I bought all these supplies. So that's why, like, you start out, the Simple Green is just because most of you know, it's a very good disinfectant, and it's not real harmful to certain products that we're around, but it's very good at cleaning up a lot, especially, like, I had a thing at my house once where my dog, there was blood, and that is what cleaned up the blood that was in my house. So things that you would not realize that it can do. So it is one of the better cleaners that's out there for some of the natural things that happen.
And it's not to be used on books, but you could use it on shelves.
Yes.
You could use it, on some cases and things like that.
It's not as harsh as bleach.
Right.
Yes.
Over here we've got everything from.
Okay.
Okay, you can read those off, and I'll sort of wave them around, I guess. Or something.
Yeah, there's several different kinds of gloves. I have latex gloves and leather gloves. You have to bear with me. My students type these up. I have flock lined gloves. There's sponges in there. There's different kinds of dust masks depending on what you have to do, what you're doing.
And I've even actually seen some people who are doing microfilming and digital projects with dusty books and potentially moldy books who were wearing these when they had some photos taken. So these could be something that can be used in a dry book disaster as well as a wet book disaster.
These ones here are a little more heavy duty. These kind of are more like a respirator type. So it just depends on what you're dealing with.
And I mean, if you actually are around mold constantly or chronically, you need to actually have a real respirator with respirator filters. And I've got one of those in another kit that I'm going to show you in just a minute. We've got goggles that are definitely good to use, especially if you are in a building where there may have been fire, where there may have been some of these ceiling tiles getting wet or falling down. That's important. Where there's any type of dust or debris left over, it's really important to be able to use this type of thing if you can. These smoke and soot erasers, these are actually really, really helpful. And I've actually used this in the case where there was a furnace blowback and there was just soot from that all over the place. But these are really helpful for everything from cleaning walls to cleaning shelves to, I wouldn't say I would use it on historic furniture, but using it on furniture, using it on some of the tables in your workspaces. These are really helpful.
We use these too. We cut these into smaller pieces, and sometimes, you know how it is, you get a phone call from somebody and says, oh, I want to donate my collection to you, and you say, is it in good shape? And they're like, oh, it's in great shape. And then you get it, and there's like this much dust corroded all over it. We usually take these and we clean like the bindings, the pages, and everything using one of these, and they're awesome. So we just cut them into small enough pieces to just get into the crevices on the book. So that's even a good thing for these.
So anything else in that one that we need to come back
No,
to? Okay.
lots of gloves, masks.
Good. We've got a lot of these buckets, and actually these are helpful for a number of things. These can be used actually to wet pack out things if you need to. In a couple of cases, especially with film, microfilm, and in some cases microfiche, a lot of the organizations that did the original filming and microfiche activities will say, if you can ship it back to us, we will actually reprocess it for free. There are still a lot of the microfilm companies that will do that. And so I have taken a couple of these, and you can replace them with old pickle barrels or anything like that, and put water in them, put the materials in them, and I actually did this while I was in Houston and sent it up here to Pittsburgh to be redone, where we took some 8mm film and some other film and put it in one of these, put water on it and put a FedEx label on it and shipped it off. And FedEx will take it. It will weigh a lot, but FedEx will take it, and then they can be reprocessed. The other thing is that, especially after Hurricane Katrina, it was very, very difficult to get clean water, and people were using buckets for sort of dunking tanks to get books that were completely covered with mud or completely covered with any kind of debris that they wanted to get the initial dirt off of. They would just dump them in there very quickly, but it would be a way to get things a little bit cleaner. So we've got a number of these that we can work with. You know, I think we want to stack these back in here, and then I'll move these over. We probably won't use these this afternoon, but there we go. All right. We're going to be using these this afternoon for sure.
There's those ones, and then there's more. It just
Okay.
depends on where I ordered stuff from.
These are the heaviest trash bags known to man, and you would not believe how heavy this box even is. I feel like my shoulder might get dislocated. But when we are packing out things in boxes, we're going to take all of those boxes that are actually University of Pittsburgh cast-off boxes that we're going to use for our work today. But when you pack things in boxes to be packed out to go to an emergency vendor or to be air dried later, what you don't want to do is put a wet book in a box that doesn't have any, protection or anything under it, because it's heavy enough that it'll rip the bottom of the box out and it will fall out on the floor. And so what we'll do is, as we get these boxes set up, we'll take them up, we will put these bags inside of them, and then you don't tie the bag shut. You're just really leaving it in the bottom of the box in order to make sure that the books don't fall through, and to provide a little bit of extra support. So these are things that I suspect we'll use very quickly, and will need to be replaced fairly often if there are any disasters. The other thing that Tracy wants an idea of today, as we are working through this, is how many boxes we might need or might want to order in general from our ordering organization.
Yeah.
We've got some who are coming, right? There's some boxes. Have we ordered those already yet at all or not?
No,
Okay.
I talked to Kevin, and I told him that after today, I would have a better idea of how many boxes and sizes, and because one, I would know what space we had here.
Mm-hmm.
And after going through the program, I would have a better idea of what size boxes probably work best and that kind of stuff. So Belfour is actually going to give us boxes. So we're not gonna have to buy boxes, which is very nice.
And they'll be knocked down like these, so we do have to put them together. So we've got tape and scissors and other stuff to do that. But just as an idea of the size of supply that we might want to have, in Louisiana, split between the Historic New Orleans Collection in New Orleans and the State Library in Baton Rouge, we've got about 500 or 600 boxes in case somebody has a disaster and they have to go to one of those areas. I think in total it wouldn't be bad to have about 500 of different sizes here, so that we could be able to pack out the material, because usually it's only about 7 or 8 items per box. So if we had, say, 500 boxes, we could get 3,500 items out of a library or several organizations. And so I think having that much would be good. So one of the things that I think Tracy and I are going to try to do is to separate what we're going to take downstairs and maybe put that in the corner here, and then take these other things and push them over to the side. But you want to talk about the torn-up t-shirts?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and this is like a little bit of a warning. When you're buying stuff off the internet and you buy rags, you have to be very careful because some places, and I think I got these from Home Depot actually, they're just cut up t-shirts.
So if you have any t-shirts you want to get rid of too,
Yeah,
you
so-
can go to a good cause.
I was gonna say.
But I would suggest that white, they have to be white.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do have to be white.
Yes, not tie-dyed or anything.
No.
Just into a-
No collars, white.
Right.
So I'm actually,
No polyester.
yeah. So I'm probably actually gonna get more rags, a little bit more. But there's 2 boxes of rags. These 2 big boxes here are the spill pillows. And we're gonna take one of these down today so that everybody can actually see what these do, what happens when these start to get wet. And I don't think people realize, because when you first look at it, it's like, but we've had to use these before at Duquesne, and I myself was amazed. So,
Those are sort of like they look like they're a door draft stopper, but actually you won't believe how large scale they get. So we can put that one on there, I guess. Some of the other things that we won't be taking down right now, but we definitely have to be able to use. This is really good. We've got a 100-foot light duty extension cord. We've got actually 2 of those. And in a lot of cases, we might want to, we're going to get a light, right? We're going to get a heavy duty light, or we actually may have it. We've got it. Okay, good. Great. Just the kind that we need here. They're the halogen work light. And we have had a couple of situations. When I was in Texas, we had to bring these in a number of different times to give us light if there was generally a power outage, or if because of the tornadoes and things that they have down there so often, the power is knocked down. You can actually run those off of generators. In some cases, if there's no lights in a room because the lights have been blown out, such as the situations that happened in Katrina, in some cases where there were some rooms that were flooded and some that weren't, you can make sure that you can get the light into another room. So we've got these cords and we've got the lights. The one thing certainly is that I want to remind everybody, if there's a disaster in your facility, I don't want you all to be the ones to know when the power should be turned back on, and I want you to know that you shouldn't go into the room before the power is turned off, because there have been some people who have had electric shocks, etc., going into an area with a wet floor and not knowing if the power has been turned off. I just worked at an institution in New York where somebody got shocked from that, and luckily it wasn't any worse of a situation than a minor shock, but somebody could get electrocuted from that type of situation. So these are some of the, once we get the situation set back up where it's safe to be able to run some electric power, we've got those. We've got a power strip as well. We've got a number of lights and battery packs, flashlights and battery packs. We also have hard hats. A bunch of different hard hats, 2 yellow and 2 white hard hats. I would suggest that the fire department will probably have fire helmets. A lot of the disaster recovery companies will have their own hard hats. But if we can use these, and I don't know, we may even want to have something like some of those little name tags on there, just to let somebody know that you're with Alliance for Response, that you're with the organization, that you sort of know what's going on, and you know that you need some kind of precaution to be able to wear this if a disaster happens. I think that would be a really helpful direction to go. Anything else on there? Oh, very good. We also have some walkie-talkie 2-way radios here. And this can be helpful as well. There were a number of people who were in Mississippi during Katrina who said that the 2 things that worked were only texting on their cell phone. The calls didn't work, but the texting on their cell phone worked. And then having 2-way radios actually was the other thing that worked. This is especially important if you have a situation where, for instance, the National Guard or other people are not letting folks into, in and out of your area. Having somebody take one of these with them when they have to leave the area